something like an iPad, while very exciting, is certainly not accessible to the bulk of students in the U.S. Something like a text message cell phone, which is nearly ubiquitous these days, is accessible by most children. And if you're looking at children in developing countries as well, we have to look at the technologies that they have there. And again, you know, cell phones are one great opportunity. There's a number of other things we're looking at. And simply living at Sesame Workshop, I don't know if people are familiar that Sesame Workshop's in over 120 countries worldwide. And we're really dedicated as an organization to helping reach kids in developing countries with it and reaching them about issues that are particularly relevant to them. So it's a great question and certainly one of our major objectives. And I see a few questions here on the left, so I'm going to try to. Kim, do you want to tell me the questions, or should I just read them off of this chat?
Either way is fine. The two questions that haven't been addressed are: can a group of teachers submit the proposal?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, it didn't come
through.
Sure.
Can a group of teachers submit a proposal together?
Yes, so you can submit a proposal with a group of up to 5 people. So certainly it can be a group of teachers.
And can you apply if it's a non-U.S. project?
Unfortunately, no. So this year we tried really hard to make it an international competition. And if I'm being totally honest with you, we ran it against some legal problems that didn't enable us to do that this year, which was very frustrating to us because we do take an international perspective as an organization. So unfortunately, every team member does have to be from the U.S. That being said, I want to be really clear that although the team members have to be from the U.S., your project can certainly be impacting kids in any country around the world. So you could have a project in the U.S. that's dedicated to kids in India, and that's completely fine. It's just that every person who applies has to be an American resident or citizen. And to those of you who are international, I'm actually Canadian, and I'd apologize for that. And it's something that we're hoping next year to change and to open up to folks from around the world.
And there's some questions about understanding the use of the prototypes.
Yes. Okay, so that is probably the most confusing part of this whole prize application, which is that for the mobile prize, so not for the electric company prize, but for the mobile prize, you need to submit some sort of prototype. So what that really means is that you need to submit something that we could take out and test. So you don't need a finished. The prototype often implies that it's a technology, that you're applying with some sort of technology. And in that case, it's much easier. So for instance, if you have an iPhone app, a prototype of your iPhone app would be sort of a work in progress. They call it a beta, but either a series of images or a website or something that demonstrates how it will work. There's also such things as paper prototypes. So I could make a paper prototype of what my iPhone app would look like. So in that case, and if anyone is developing it, has an idea for something technology-based, then it's a little bit clearer, and I can talk to you more about that. It gets a little bit fuzzy if we're asking for a prototype of some sort of model. So, for instance, I just heard of a great project here in Canada, actually, where to help his middle school students learn Shakespeare, he did this model of a learning experience using text messaging where they had to, text each other a Romeo and Juliet conversation. And I thought that was, and he was showing that it seemed to be working and students were much more engaged and learning the text better. And so that was an interesting example. So a prototype of that, and we're asking you to submit your prototype in a 5-page PowerPoint deck, would be something that just illustrates the experience. So you could take video of your kids doing it. You could do a lesson plan would be a prototype. That would be for sure part of your prototype. Essentially a script on how you would, if you were to try to scale your lesson to other classrooms around your school or around the world. Anything that essentially demonstrates what your project really is rather than just writing about it. So what you submit for the prototype is a 5-page deck of some sort, so PowerPoint being the most common, but you can certainly use Keynote or any other slide deck software that you might have. And you can embed links, you can embed video, you can embed text, but you just have to use those 5 pages to show us, as well as you can, what your project would look like. So I know that's a little bit confusing, and the truth is there is no really clear answer to what a prototype is. It's just something that can show us what your project would look like, and show us that you have enough. If you have a lesson plan, for instance, that's enough that we could go out and test that with other students. So just showing us that your idea is developed enough. It's not just an idea, but that there's actually something that could go in the field and be tested. So that 5-page prototype is in complement to a 5-page written proposal, and the table of contents for that proposal is all on our website. So it's essentially questions like describe your project, describe what you would do with the money, those kinds of things. And so you can find that all on our website, and hopefully that's clear. Were there any other questions, Kim, before I move on?
No, that was it for now.
Okay, perfect. Well, those are great questions, and you know, Peggy and the team can feel free to share my email after this, and if you want to follow up with me, I'd be happy to talk further about any of those things, or we might have some more time. In fact, we will have some more time, I believe, at the end of this call for Q&A. So now I want to talk to you about why mobile learning, because as you know, our biggest prize this year, the $50,000 prize, is in the field of mobile learning. So let me tell you about a report that we recently published called Pockets of Potential. I believe the link has already been sent around, and if not, we can send it around. But this is one of our reports that I wrote last year that you can download on our website, and it's totally focused on mobile learning. So it was based on research I did where I spoke to about 25 to 30 experts from around the world who are fairly advanced in using mobile learning in some way in education. So it analyzes the current state of mobile learning, and it has an inventory of and quite a few projects both from North America and abroad. It identifies key opportunities and challenges in the field of mobile learning, and then finally it recommends goals and an action plan to transform mobile learning into a force for educational impact. So this was our first foray into mobile learning, and it was also our first deep dive piece of research into one kind of technology. So before that, we've done a number of reports, including my report, Dias for Digital, as well as a report by Jim Jabbi, who's essentially the leading scholar on gaming and education. But we haven't focused on any one type of technology. And there were a lot of different things we could focus on. We could have focused on video games. We could have focused on Web 2.0 technologies. So people often ask me, okay, why did you focus on mobile? And the first reason is simply that mobile devices are essentially ubiquitous amongst today's children. And just to share some statistics with you, mobile device ownership among children aged 4 to 14 is the fastest growing consumer electronics category with children, experiencing double-digit growth every year since 2005. So this is growing faster than video games, faster than computers, faster than internet amongst children. Second of all, when we talk about access and bridging the digital divide, at least in the U.S., almost every child has access to a mobile device. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they have their own mobile device, although more and more children do have their own. But at the very least, they have access to one in the home. So finally, just looking at some interesting data from the annual Speak Up survey, which is a great survey that you can find results online, and they share interesting information about cell phones. And I